and welcome back to another episode of the Choose954 Podcast, episode 112 with Annette and B from Pana Club and B Spaces. If you didn't know about Choose954, myself, Evan Snow, and my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, started a social movement to cultivate culture and community here in Broward County in an effort to keep people in the know with all the great things that are going on, primarily within the arts and culture, to make this a better place to live, not just a better place to vacation, because we live here. And this has led to the creation of things like Zero Empty Spaces, which we're at our Gulfstream Park location right now, and a lot of other great initiatives like our potluck that you guys recently participated in, and now new initiatives, which we're very excited to share. For more information, you can log on to Choose954 on social media and the interwebs. But without much further ado, why don't you both take an opportunity to introduce yourselves and these wonderful organizations that you're now bringing to the Broward County community.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Evan, for that wonderful introduction. So my name is Annette, and I am one of the co-founders of Pana Club. And Pana Club is South Florida's first hyperlocal connection platform. And a lot of people ask me what that means, of course, because it's a term that we made up. But it is essentially a platform where we want everyone to be able to find whatever it is that they want locally sourced, whether it is a mechanic that you need or a photographer or creative director. We've built an open access directory that is free to use, always and forever, where you can search up absolutely anything that you want and you can get it locally sourced. So here we are supporting the local community, the local economy here in South Florida. And that is the main purpose of our nonprofit, Pana Club.
Which has now led to another wonderful initiative.
B Spaces. So I'm B. I am the founder of B Spaces. And B Spaces actually is under the umbrella of Pana. And it was kind of created as a love letter to Broward because we recently moved to Broward and we started to see what is there to do here? And I would go on Instagram and I would try to find these pages and I would try to try to investigate it. And I'm like, man, what is there to do? And I kind of took it upon myself to create this Instagram account where I take the initiative to find these events, whether I'm promoting events, I'm putting on my own events, I'm making sure that there is more regenerative economy in Broward because I feel like, Broward is often overlooked. And there's so much to do here. There's so many fun, free activities, things that are things that you can't find anywhere else. And the amount of community that exists here is just beautiful. So B Spaces was created as a way to bring everyone together, to be that bridge for entrepreneurs, for artists, for creatives, to have a platform, to have their voices be heard.
Phenomenal. And definitely needed. And to your point, I too shared that sentiment that there wasn't really people that were highlighting the local community so much as there might be in Miami. I was heavily inspired by the Prism Creative Group back in the day, who started Support Florida and a lot of other movements. And there was a lot of those in Miami, but we are here in Broward. So we want to have things for the Broward people. So I give you guys a lot of kudos and credit. And we've all seen the impact of these platforms to connect the community, to change communities. What was some of the impetus and inspiration for initially the origin story of starting both of these organizations?
So for Pana it was truly, I would say, something that was born out of an incredible friendship. So I mentioned before that I am one of the co-founders. So the other co-founder is my best friend, Claribel Avila. And we met over 3 years ago at this point at a market. We both were small business owners. We both were relatively new to the Miami scene. I was born and raised in Broward County, Pembroke Pines specifically, but I was breaking into the Miami creative scene and I was doing everything on my own, as many of us solo entrepreneurs, as many of us artists do. And it can be a very isolating experience. So when I met my best friend that also was on this journey, even though we were completely different industries, we started this mutual support, like helping each other out. Here's the really great market to go to. Square is like a really great processing platform for whatever it is that you need. If you need to charge people with Cash App, whatever it is. It was just things here and there. And as we were supporting each other more and more, we were like, man, this is lacking. This is lacking in the community. We see so many artists and creators that are all trying to do the same thing, because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to succeed. We're all trying to eat. And a lot of people were seeing it as a competition. And if there are communities out there, if there are like cliques, that's what they are. I mean, some of them are very open and very welcoming, and we do see like a lot of incredible reciprocation out there. But the thing is that it's hard to access. And it's really hard for people to know like what is out there. And so we wanted to become this platform of visibility. That's where the idea came from, where we were like, we want to be that support system, not just for ourselves, but for everybody out there that is trying to make it. Because in the end of the day, we're only stronger together. A lot of people see it as like, if I have this advantage, then, I could be taking it from somebody else, but we need to pool our resources together because that's how we're going to improve the overall well-being of our community.
And just, I think we all can agree, this is a conversation worth having. This is a conversation that needs to happen. This is a conversation that is really, those that are in the know that this is. And unfortunately, things have changed with the pandemic, and things have changed in South Florida. Prism Creative Group's not even around anymore, and they had shaped a lot of culture in Miami. There's Miami Friendsors, there's a lot of different groups. But it's definitely something that I think we believe, with the wave in the logo, rising tides raise all ships.
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
You know what I mean? Like we are going to get further together, but unfortunately, and people ask me, and thankfully I've gotten way past the bitterness and jadedness with yoga and meditation and mindfulness and mushrooms, but people's ego, and they're they want to hold on to this advantage or whatever they have. But that's not really helping the greater good. You guys are legitimately looking to help the greater good, as are we as well. And with B Spaces, we've had some conversations about this new emerging trend as well. I want you to tell us the origin story, but something we'll also touch on are these third spaces, these community spaces, these gathering spaces, these spaces between work and between home that are so crucial, that when you go to a well-cultured community like Austin or Nashville or Soho or wherever.
And it's a given. When you go to these cities, it's like, obviously we have a place where people come together. And in Miami, not only is it hard to find those spaces, but it's also inaccessible.
Yeah.
Right.
As in terms of like physically being there. Because if it's not past a paywall, it's also like actually getting there. Transportation and infrastructure here is a really big barrier.
Parking.
For a lot of people. Parking, And so...
It's a thing, like... It's
absolutely. Like, if you want to go to anywhere in Miami Beach, you have to like brace yourself for, at least $20.
And that's if it's not Art Basel or, or Winter Music Conference or, F1 or one of the other things where they find a way to justify parking to $100.
And you can try risking it for the biscuit, but...
Another conversation for another day. But how about, some of the origins and inspiration story behind what really has led to this much needed platform with B Spaces?
I mean, to be honest with you, I was really inspired by Pana. Just like, Annette talked about how she met Gladys and, they formed this relationship. I also met Annette at a market. I was vending for my old business back then, and we became friends. We became good friends, and we started working together. I started doing copywriting for Pana. And I started to see like this whole other perspective, this like what it means to truly have community.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, like why isn't it more like this? Why is nobody talking about this type of community? Because up until then, all I had known is like, the Wynwood life, the party life, the like, oh, let's go to a bar and get drunk. But I didn't know that you could have real friends outside of that. Like, like you have friends here and there, but like when you meet a stranger, nobody's like, hey, do you want to build something together? Like, so like, I met Annette, and, all of these like ideas started to come to mind. And, here we are almost 2 years later, and, we live together. And we moved to Broward, and, again, like I had this like feeling of like, where is the community in Broward? I don't see it. I would go to places and I would feel like kind of isolated in a way, because like everybody's in their cliques. Everybody's like, it's a small, like at least for us, like everything feels like kind of small town. And I'm like, man, like where are the alternative events? Where are the things where people are talking about art, books, literature? Like where is it? And, I started to feel really frustrated, especially being new to the city. And I was like, you know what? Something has to change. Somebody has to do something. Who's going to do something? And I'm like, wait, me.
Let's go.
I'm going to do something.
That's how it happens.
Because I don't want to wait around for someone else to do this. Like, why not me? I have the tools, the resources, the knowledge, and I have an entire community behind me.
Let's go. And that's how shit happens. That's how change happens. And I commend you guys for taking the initiative, because also, maybe you start something, anything, a social movement, a business, a platform, there's generally not free money that falls from the sky or the government.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Right. To start these things. So it's a lot of work, a passion project, a labor of love. Thankfully, you both are resourceful and you have technical skills and artistic and creative skills, and then the desire and the drive that fuels you to actually actualize your dream and see the impact that happens. Now, I know from my experience that I've seen impact happen through the work that you've done, and I've also watched you. Now I've known you longer than B. Watch you transform into a flourishing community builder. Now, from this journey so far, what are some of the milestones or success stories or things that maybe you're proud of lives you've seen change, communities you've seen form, or just any positive takeaway that you feel is worth sharing to give a tangible, real-world example of the impact of this work?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I'm going to point to for sure is the actual technological infrastructure that we've built and are currently still building. So you can go on www.panamia.club and you can search absolutely anything you want. And we have almost 700 Panas at this point. Those are creative small businesses, organizations that are all locally based here in South Florida. And that's counting, because we want to grow way past 700. But, we're talking about, like you said, I don't have anybody bankrolling me right now. Like this is pure sweat equity that we were able to get a developer on board and really take a personal sort of shine, for lack of a better word, just like really wanting to make this happen. And so now we have that infrastructure for people to sign up. And what we want to build from that is something much more robust, not just a place where you can, find people for whatever it is that you need, locally sourced, but we want to be an actual engine for real community connection here in South Florida, whether that is like through chat rooms, through forums, or through curated lists, or through so many other ways, so many interesting features that we want to build out on our site that you definitely should watch out for.
Bring back the chat rooms and the forums.
No, we definitely want to get off WhatsApp.
Yeah,
That's
for real.
just- yeah.
Too many WhatsApp.
No,
Way too many.
we want to get off WhatsApp, off the Signal, off the Discord. There's one thing for hyperlocal community, one thing. That's what we want to do. But aside from that, we have always had a really interesting approach when it comes to curating events. And every time we do put on an event, that for me is just like such a solid, tangible expression of like, wow, this is the impact that we're having in community. Because the way that we put on events is very multifaceted. Every single aspect is bringing in a different facet of community. So we have a show, and it's not just the musicians that are on the show, but it's also the audio technical producers behind the scenes that are putting it on. It's also the vendors. It's also the actual live artists that we bring into the space, or the gallerists that the venue, are all locally owned. It's a completely from start to finish locally produced production, and that's what we put on every time we do put on an event. It's so much so that people think sometimes that we're event organizers, and we're like, we need to rebrand. We're not.
You are now.
We throw great events.
We throw great events, but that's not our main thing.
Learn by doing.
But yeah, and then lastly, I would just say the incredible strategic partnerships with community members and organizations that are already doing incredible work in the community. Zero Empty Spaces and Choose954, of course, is one of these really, really great partnerships that we cherish, and is one of the strongest ways that we know we are growing this project and we're moving forward in the right direction.
So glad to support, and I know B Spaces is newer, but still beginning to make an impact. Any success stories or any new things to look out for? Any to mention so far?
I mean, we have so much. Well, I have so much in the works. But, of course, we work with Pana on a bunch of other projects. But yeah, I mean, we started a co-working series that we're really excited about. We have one in Hollywood starting tomorrow, actually, at JT Workspace. We hope to make this a monthly thing, and essentially just like have people come and bring their projects, bring their whatever it be, art, reading, anything that has to do with something that you really want to like put your time, money, and effort into. Then I welcome anyone who wants to come and spend some time with us. Like most co-working spaces, they charge a fee for you to be there, and because we're doing this through Pana, it's free. Of course, if you want, pay what you can.
As the fiscal sponsor.
Yeah, so we have, like I said, the co-working series. We hope to start putting on events. We want to do a Pride market eventually, soon, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas. There's also the invitation for other event organizers to come to reach out to us so we can promote your events, because at the end of the day, B Spaces is a platform. It's to be shared with everyone. So yeah, I'm open to collaborations. I'm open to doing fun, exciting things.
And for those that are not familiar with co-working, because there was a moment, 2015, 16, 17, 18, co-working was like really booming. WeWork was really booming. Co-working spaces are really that have served a pivotal platform in my life. General Provision, when it was in Fat Village, they still have the location in downtown Fort Lauderdale, let us host Accent Club, which we did bring back, which we are still doing, which we're glad to talk about, which is a goal-setting, accountability, and mini mastermind group to help people incubate and innovate their ideas, which started in Miami at the Lab over 10 years ago, that we have a Broward chapter of, and being in these cool, collaborative environments where people are coming together from all different backgrounds, walks of life, and they're looking for community as well. Co-working spaces do provide a hub for that. The other hub and connection point that I thought was a great experience that I'm so glad to see you've taken advantage of and partner with is our good friends from Radical Partners that put on 10 Days of Connection.
Yes.
And thankfully, you guys both joined us for our last artist potluck in May during 10 Days of Connection at our newest Zero Empty Spaces location of Artist Studios at the Design Center Americas, the Dakota, where we probably had our biggest attendance. We had, I think, 45 people. And the vibes were there, the energy was there, the community was there. And I saw you guys did a lot of networking and making connections. Coming off the heels of an event like that, a free, community-driven, open and inclusive potluck, sharing, breaking bread, sharing a meal, sharing conversation, did that reinforce the values and the goals and the ideas? Did the 10 Days of Connection, what does that mean for you?
I will say that for 10 Days of Connection, and the beautiful people over at Radical Partners that are doing incredible work, Pana participated in 3 events. And one of them was our actual zine making workshop that we held at 4. That was so cute, and really genuinely like just a beautiful event to put on. It was our first event at the 4 Cafe in Miami. If you haven't been, it's one of the best places to grab like a sweet treat for yourself, but it's also like really one of the centers of community, of genuine community there in North Miami. The second one was in their closing ceremony in the Underline.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also genuinely very interesting because the highlight, all of the people tabling were different organizations. And so the highlight of the event was literally the organizations, us, that were there tabling. So it was earlier, like right before the potluck, because we were there in the morning and then we went to the potluck like later in the afternoon. And it was just so interesting where, it wasn't a market in the sense that people were there to buy things from vendors. It was just a market in the sense of like only in the social aspect.
Right.
Because people were there just to connect with the organizations that were being represented, which was such an interesting experience for me. And then of course, like I closed out my 10 Days of Connections journey with the artist potluck. And that was really great. Personally, I'm an artist by trade. I graduated from the University of Florida with an arts degree. Like that's lifelong, like I am an artist. And so, I always love being surrounded by other artists. And every time I come into a Zero Empty space, that's exactly what I am. And it was my first time at the Design Center of the Americas, which is the new Zero Empty Space location that had just opened up. And it was just such a wonderful, intimate experience. You said that a lot of people came. It was like maybe 45 people. It was definitely packed. But it was just so wonderful, like one long table with just like anything that anybody could bring and just like the beautiful experience of like company and conversation and quality connection all together. I had the pleasure of inviting Fabian from Esquina de Abuela.
Oh, thank you.
That has or had like an incredible space in Alapata. Thank you. And he was able to visit and share his story and, like always inviting like more artists into space to like talk about their experiences and what is needed here and what we could be doing working together is always, for me, just an incredible time.
I would like to add that this was when I also attended this potluck. When I attended this potluck, it was my first time actually talking about these spaces. And I was so surprised by the amount of people who were interested in my project. I was like, whoa. I think I had like 3 people rush up to me and like, tell me more about your project. And I'm like, oh man.
I just came up with the name yesterday.
Yeah, so, I walked away from that experience feeling like, okay, what I'm doing is really good and it's obviously needed by the community. And then also like just connecting with incredible artists. these are artists that I follow on Instagram, and they're also doing incredible things. And like, I want to go to their events, and I'm like inviting them to my events, and I'm like, let's do things together. So I just felt like, the strong pull for community to build together, to like want to create together was really beautiful.
Amen. Love that. It really was a beautiful experience. That was probably one of the most memorable potlucks that we've had since we started these quarterly before the pandemic. And, can never show enough love to the good folks at Radical Partners, Joanne and the team. Just amazing. The 10 Days Connection takes place the first 10 days of May every year, brings people together over various backgrounds, walks of life, belief, different tracks, disability awareness, inclusion, help for bringing people together over different religious groups and tracks. And our track was under the Connection community, which is, obviously
ours as well.
Yeah, which we, just highlighted so beautifully and so eloquently, is so needed. So glad to see that. So glad to see you guys participating. You mentioned upcoming events. What are some things that we should look out for coming from you guys?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, our collaboration.
Yes.
So we have a really exciting creatives mixer that is going to happen tentatively, I would say, the 18th of July.
Yep.
And it's going to be here in the space. It's going to be in the Gulfstream location of Zero Empty Spaces. And the intention there is to invite all of the local creatives that are here under Zero Empty Spaces, but also wider out here in the community, that want to work together, that want to collaborate, that want to, figure out how they can move forward in their own personal journeys, and also connect with others that are doing the same. And so we're taking this opportunity to platform Pana and what we do, B Spaces and what we do, and then of course Choose954 and Zero Empty Spaces and what they do, and just pool all of these resources together here in the space with all these creatives and say, for you, please take advantage. We want you to engage with us. We want you to participate because in the end, that's going to make us stronger. And so I think it's one of the first, hopefully, of a series of events where we can work together to bring community together and see how that will spark and grow more.
Amen. And that'll be at Zero Empty Spaces here in Gulfstream Park, next to Williams-Sonoma, in Hollandale Beach, Florida, where we do have studio space available. Some of our artists moved over to the new space at Dakota. The space had been here for 5 years and generally runs full with a waiting list. So it's an opportunity for artists to be able to get in here and see the space, as well as mix and mingle with artists, as well as general creatives from the community, not just painters, but other creatives as well, copywriters, people that have other creative skills. So tentatively, we're targeting July 18th.
Yes.
We're going to roll out more details soon.
Yeah. And additionally, I would say for other events related to Pana, we have an Instagram page specifically dedicated to that. That's panamia.events on Instagram. And then, of course, B Spaces for any Broward-related events.
Broward Third Spaces is the name, actually. But you can find it under B.spaces, and then the E at the end is a 3.
Yes. And once again, the Third Space movement, trend, initiative is something very needed. And certainly glad to see you looking to bring more of these spaces maybe to light, because maybe not everybody's familiar with this cafe or this co-working space or this whatever. And it is so beneficial to have that space between work and home. I mean, yes, I love going to the coffee. I went, today and got matcha and sat there and had a lovely conversation. But maybe a space where you don't have to feel pressured to buy something, or, it's a non-judgmental, it's a free and open supportive space.
Yeah.
So these are definitely, I commend you for doing the work there, and I'm glad to try to support. And let's also maybe just clear the air. These are self-funded passion projects, labor of love. You do have a 501c3
Yes.
now. So while the mixer will be a free and open event, a suggested donation is welcome.
Absolutely, please.
Pay what you can.
Yeah.
Because it does help, like little things like paying for the website, maybe running an ad or doing something to extend the reach with the craziness of Instagram.
Yeah.
So people can see it, to know about it, and we do encourage more Panas to sign up, because and I give you a lot of credit for this. This was on our to-do wish list that people had said to us for years. Oh, you should have a directory of everybody that does everything. Well, yeah, who's going to build that? And even with the volunteer, God bless your developer, you still have to pay for hosting.
Yeah.
You still have to pay for a domain. You still have to, pay for email. So these things don't just happen for free. And
the thing is that what we're building is so much more than just a directory. What we're really building is an ecosystem. And that is why, we are pursuing incubated projects like what we're doing with B Spaces. We also have a literary magazine, Heatwave Visions, as one of our other incubated projects. And so the reason why it's not just the tech infrastructure, which is a really big piece of what we do. And it's not just the community events that we put on, which is also a really big piece of how we're community building. But it's also these other projects and programs. And so this is not something that is just, like you wish and you make it happen. It is like a ton of sweat equity, but yes, it does need a ton of capital. And so it's really important for those of you that, really do want to see a change in your community, that you really do want to see something happen, that you're like looking at the state of the world around you, and most importantly, looking at the state of your neighborhood around you, and thinking that you can't do anything. There are organizations that are working tirelessly to create impact and to create change, but they need support.
Amen. And unfortunately, when you don't get support, you then unfortunately can experience things like burnout.
Yeah.
And you could feel bitterness and jadedness, and then you're not as motivated to pursue your project. And unfortunately, not only have we seen so many good people leave, full transparency, and I share vulnerably with the hopes of correlating these points to other people. I had to stop, me and Andrew had to stop doing Lauderdale Art Week after 6 years because the county gave us $15,000 to support every single arts organization throughout 31 cities in Broward County, and gives a multimillionaire $1 million to do a light show. That, the math doesn't math.
It doesn't matter.
So we couldn't continue doing this much needed platform where we're running ads, doing creative, doing a calendar, doing a schedule of events. We won a PRSA award for the best destination event, over 800 submissions, and the county just, nah. So I'm saying this lightly with respect to the county, but basically when you support organizations like Pana and B Spaces, that does allow you to continue pursuing, because the other part that the other complex that we found happens in Broward, that I found over my time here in doing community building work for 10 years now, is there's a complex that happens not just in Broward, but in places like Broward, where people will, to your point, turn their head, look the other way, hope things get better, and that is not the recipe for success.
No.
Yeah.
This is a very siloed community based off the transient nature of not many people being from here, many people moving here. And then they fall into one community, and that one community cannot be everything to everyone, nor can you expect to be everything to everyone. But when you collaborate and you join forces and the rising tides do raise all ships, that's when amazing things do happen. That's when change happens, and that's when you go to a Richmond or an Asheville or any of these well-cultured communities. It's the community that makes it amazing. And the other part that to end this tangent is nobody goes to Nashville to go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
and it blows my mind that they do. And Starbucks does not need your $5 as much as Allura Cafe. Aluna Cafe, sorry.
Yeah.
And the local coffee shops that when we say support local, that means that this small business can continue buying from their suppliers, paying their staff, keeping the doors open, paying the rent to serve their valuable need in the community.
And also
that's why this
contributing
matters.
to the greater culture of the area. You know, like what you were talking about before when you were saying that, you know, that these like cities have their own personality and their own culture, and that this place being Miami and being Broward feels so transient and feels so shallow. And it's because there is a lack of investment, not a lack of wants or a lack of desire, but a lack of investment into these community organizations that are creating the place, you know, creating that feeling of placemaking, of like what Miami is. It's not just, you know, palm trees and cafecitos. You know, we're so much more than that, you know, and unfortunately, like we're seeing the soul of this place being stripped away little by little. And instead of like kind of like falling into that hopelessness and despair, that's what we're here for.
Right. Yeah. For the every person, for the little person, for the big person, for everybody else in between. And it's crazy that, and I've been saying this for years, we do not have to be in the shadows of Miami and the stepchild to Palm Beach. Yeah. We are in the middle, but we have amazing assets, amazing artists. Yes. We have one of the best performing arts centers in the country. Mm-hmm. You know, we have a lot of things here that make this a unique place to live and a unique place to vacation. We're obviously known as we have some of the best beaches in the country, thankfully. Yeah. I think in closing, the hope and the takeaway and the inspiration is, if you are listening, if you are a community member, if you're a stakeholder, if you're a business owner, if you're a service provider, if you're an artist, if you're a creative, anywhere in between, there is a place for you here in this community. You can get in with any of our organizations. You know, we host open studio events where we invite people to come in and meet the artists, tour the studios, see the creation space. We host these potlucks for artists where we encourage artists in the creative community to come in and share a meal and discourse so they can feel like they're part of the creative community. Some of our artists here host markets and invite in vendors, and we're encouraging them to do more of that as they walk by, to try to, let more people know that you don't have to go to Miami for markets. Yep. You don't have to go to Palm Beach for all the great things that they have. We have cool shit here in Broward.
And there's something that I want to say about this too, because early we were talking about how we had just moved to Broward and how we were struggling to find, where are the niches, where are the places where people are gathering, where there are, sort of like create. And something that I want to say is that I am from Broward.
Hey!
I was born and raised like all the way in the West, like touching the Everglades, like toeing the Everglades.
She was out in the boot.
West Pembroke Pines.
Okay.
And so like I grew up with a lot of people who live in Broward with a love and hate relationship for this county, because it's where you grew up. You're always going to have some sort of kinship, but especially for me as an artist, I was looking for what is there to do. Where can I connect? Where is my artistic community? And I felt like I couldn't find that until I started going to Miami. And that is where I met Gladys and Happily Ever After. Now we have Pana Club. But now it's sort of like a full circle moment for me, because I'm back in Broward now. I'm not in Pines. I'm in Dania, Hollywood, like right around there. And I feel so much more of this welcoming and creative community and just like all of the beautiful things that I felt that I was lacking before. And so when I'm like kind of in this space, because I was one of the people that was like, I can't find anything in Broward, I have to go to Miami. And now I'm on the other side of that, where I'm like, no, we need to make these spaces more visible.
Miami needs to come here.
Woo! Cross that imaginary border. Don't pack a sleeping bag.
No, for real. Like it's so close. Miamians are always acting.
Oh my God.
Like nobody,
Hour.
I was living in Miramar. Nobody wanted to come over to my house because they're like, no, it's so far. It's 40 minutes away. I'm like, doesn't it take you 40 minutes to go to the beach from where you're at? Like,
How about this?
Come on now.
Miramar and Pembroke Pines, right?
yeah.
Miramar is killing it with their cultural center. They now host the Moth. The Moth moved from Miami to the Miramar Culture Center. I went. The room was packed. I think they had 300 people on a Tuesday night.
That's incredible.
Whoa.
So, and I give a lot of credit because Miramar is putting their money where the mouth is, not just in the Culture Center, Arts Park. They host free yoga, workout classes on the green. Also, Pembroke Pines. The Frank Pembroke Pines, arguably one of the nicest galleries, art spaces anywhere, especially in South Florida. They have a killer exhibition opening with Magda Love next week and Sarah Shester-Bartra, who's a former Zero Empty Spaces artist. Studio 18 in Pembroke Pines.
Of course.
Phenomenal art space that the city built, put a ton of money in. And then even my West Broward County city in Coral Springs has a downtown now, has amazing restaurants that too. When I was growing up, I was like, we didn't have the Cook and the Cork. We didn't have a Tap 42 or a Fat Boy Sushi or whatever. But many more good things are coming. Sergio Gomez is planning to open pop-up and then eventually a gallery in Coral Springs Museum of Art. Juliana Ferrero and her team doing an exceptional job. They just had a killer Juneteenth event in Coral Springs.
Wow.
So there are things that are happening. There are good things, and you can find out many more of these good things when they log on to
Pana Club and B Spaces. And that's exactly to my point, what I was saying before. It wasn't that those things didn't exist.
Right.
It's just we don't know about them.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not because they aren't trying their hardest to tell you that it exists. It's just hard to find it.
Right.
Our algorithms and our search engines are not set up for us to build in-person real community. They're just not set up that way.
Facts.
Which is why we need alternative platforms like Pana.
So
where can they find you on social media and the interwebs?
Yes. So that is at goto.panamia.club. So that is on Instagram. And then, of course, our website, www.panamia.club. And we also have Panamia Club on YouTube and TikTok.
Okay, we'll get this podcast file sent to you so you can put it on your YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And where can they find you?
B Spaces on Instagram. So B.spaces 3 at the end or Broward 3 Spaces.
Love it. Stay tuned for the confirmation posting of the event, July 18th.
Yes.
You can find us here at Zero Empty Spaces, Gulfstream Park, Hollandale Beach. We do have some space available of artists that are looking. It's month to month, no commission, 24/7 access, community of artists in the space, which they're doing a lot today. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
And also community of artists between other locations. We are planning a field trip to the NSU Art Museum where the director, Bonnie Clearwater, who's one of the foremost respected museum directors in the world, is offering to do a tour for our artists, which I think we can extend to the greater community. So we can, and we'll do it on the Starry Nights event, which is the first Thursday of the month when museum entrance is free at the museum. Bonnie Clearwater, also for the record, you want to talk about hidden gems in Broward. Bonnie Clearwater is one of the people that started Art Basel in Miami Beach.
What?
She was the director of the MoCA in Miami, and she was one of the people that brought the people from New York down to Miami for Art Basel back in the day. And God bless her, she's now at the end of her career, but she's still doing a phenomenal job at the museum.
Okay.
We've collaborated with them and seen amazing things come as a result. And now they are hosting these groups, and she's willing to make herself available, literally a living legend within the arts, to host this field trip and give a tour and give some additional context, which is going to be a very unique, intimate experience and one that I'm looking forward to and glad to help facilitate. So we're probably targeting the first Thursday in August because the first Thursday in July is next week.
I can't wait for my personal invite.
Yes. Well, and I think we can extend it beyond just as your Empty Spaces artist. I think we can open it up. The more the merrier. And we are getting ready to launch our open studios at the Dakota. So we have 25 new artist studios there. We had a killer grand opening. We had a few hundred people. It was really good energy. So we're going to make more opportunities for people to come in and discover the arts. Going to also support the Dakota, the Design Center of the Americas in Dania Beach. They're looking to do Wellness Wednesdays, series of events to get more people back into Dakota, which is cool. A beautiful building, beautiful space. We're still glad to do this work the best that we can. We have our Mezcal Culture Fest this weekend that, interestingly, had to move from Broward to Miami to really get it to the level that it should get to. That's going to be at the Moxie on South Beach this weekend. We've done it the last 3 years in Broward. It was formerly Mezcal Lauderdale. Now it's Mezcal Culture Fest. It's one of the first pioneering festivals celebrating the other part of the agave plant that is not tequila.
Yeah.
It is the smoky cousin to tequila.
Yeah.
Phenomenal spirit, rising category. We're going to have an art exhibition on this Friday, the 28th, with a couple of our Zero Empty Spaces resident artists here, Monica Zuckerberg and Alejandra Palacios.
Okay.
And one of our other artists. That's Alejandra there. They're both Mexican-American artists. The grand tasting is on Saturday, where there's over 40 spirits that are going to be there for the grand tasting. And then we have brunches, dinners, bar takeovers with bars coming in from Oaxaca, with chefs being flown in from Mexico. So really cool stuff. Mezcal Culture Fest. Encourage you to check it out. And yeah, still continuing to do the best with what we got. Always looking for more people to tell their stories. That's the point of the podcast, is to connect you with interesting people like them doing amazing things in the community. I think this is now probably one of my favorite episodes. Not just because we got to talk some shit and highlight the importance of community, but no, this is our oxygen. Yeah. This is what gives us life, and this is what gives us, meaning and purpose and fulfillment. And I really think something good's going to come from this. Not just because we're going to clip it, put on social, but like somebody's going to tune in on your YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel one day, listen to this conversation, and say, you know what, shit. I could take control of my life. I could take control of my community. Yeah. I could do something that isn't done before and connect some dots and really make change happen. And that is how shit gets done.
Absolutely. All it takes is just, like one person at a time, one connection at a time, waking people up and saying like, no, we actually do have a say. And we talk about this all the time, especially when it comes to shifting people's mindset about like, hey, no. One of the most impactful ways that you can demonstrate like I have power is through your dollar. Yeah.
And that was the last thing I was going to just say. If they want to support you.
Yes. You can donate on our website. We have our donation page and portal already there and set up for you. So if you want to show us some love, you can do so on there and be a reoccurring subscriber. Something like $10, $15, $25 a month for us goes a really long way in terms of sustainability. Mm-hmm. But if you are a big money baller,
corporation,
that wants a really cool tax deduction, you can reach out to us directly, whether through Instagram or through our website, or you can reach out to our email, hola@panamia.club.
And for B Spaces, you would take a sponsorship or...
Sponsorship, donations, anything is welcome. As we mentioned before, like I am a new startup initiative, so I'm doing the best that I can with what I've got.
Yeah.
Yes. Venues also are really great.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot with this one, but I know you have a desire to do a big event in Dania, and maybe we should just put out into the universe to see if something comes as a result of that.
Oh man, I have so many. Like I want to do the first Pride event in Dania. Like, I want to close off a street and have like a whole parade. I want to have like kind of like a super con, but more like a mini con, more intimate.
Local vendors and
Local
artists.
vendors, artists. Like, the sky's the limit, you know. But like, I want to do the Pride Market, the Pride Festival, because I think that, you know, like, Dania needs it. You know, our Black, brown, queer, LGBTQ plus IA community needs it, and I really want to make that by next year.
Yeah.
Well, so it's out in the universe now, and I preliminarily, in confidence, shared that with somebody, my business partner, and we think it's a great idea, and we have what we think to be a really good location that should do it. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more. And we're all open books, as you could see. So please, you know, if any of this resonated with you, if you know somebody that this would resonate with, please don't hesitate to share. One last one that I just want to give a shout out that is due, because I mentioned the Frank and Coral Springs, that I've seen things start very humble beginnings and take off to make an impact. Diane Tapia started something called Art Scene 365 before COVID.
Yes. Also great work.
She is absolutely killing it. She has some of the best social promoting all the art exhibits in South Florida, which she does show love to Broward, which we appreciate. And she's curating shows now. She's doing trips and tours and talks and part of the Progressive Brunch with Mindy Solomon and all these amazing things. And started just like you, very humble beginnings. Started in Doral, which didn't have a lot of art. Started helping Doorcam, and is now like the go-to platform for the art scene in South Florida, because she does really go beyond Miami, thankfully, which we do appreciate, Diane. So it is possible. You can start at any point. You can grow this thing. And I really, really encourage you, if any of this resonated with you, please do not hesitate to take 5 seconds, 5 minutes out of your life to send a direct message, to send an email, to schedule a conversation. You literally never know how it could change the course of your life, your community, or potentially even the world. I never would have imagined, in closing, when I set out with my cell phone and a hashtag showing people the art walk in Fat Village in 2016, that I would be opening an art studio in a former Burberry store located next to Louis Vuitton, where somebody's going to walk out spending tens of thousands of dollars and say, what's this art studio here? But anything is possible, especially if you take steps and make choices outside of your comfort zone. It's very easy to stay inside your comfort zone. Everybody's got to live. Everybody's got to work. Everybody's got to eat. Everybody's got a family. We get that. But we're putting our time, our money, and our energy where our mouth is, and that is how shit happens. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the 18th, if not for the next one. We appreciate your support, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Cheers.